Okay. Over there.
Annual monthly meeting of the Board of Commissioners of South Lafourche 7th District, and now comes to order. Roland, would you lead us in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Ron McCully,
Yep.
Mitch Stano, Roland Kiro,
Here.
Roland Guidry,
Here.
Bob Falk, McNeely Rome,
Here.
Steve Guidry,
Here.
Lonnie Davis.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Bob is at the hospital. He fell down a flight of stairs, and he has a Drew's breeze injury. He punctured his lungs and he broke 11 ribs. And since he's been in the hospital, he's had that nothing but problems. They had to remove his colon, blood pressure shot to the roof. They had to open him up. I mean, it's been one thing after another. But I got a report from his daughter.
Join the meeting.
Got a report from his daughter this morning. He's doing much better. He's off the blood pressure medication. He's off there. They got the ventilator off of him, and he's improving. So he's looking better for him. It was touch and go for a while. So just keep your prayer guys. Okay, we have the provided in the minutes of the last meeting. Any corrections or deletions in those minutes? If not, the chair will take a motion. We'll come back, second by Monty. To be approved as read, presented. All in favor, signify by discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, I have nothing to report. Executive Committee, Keith.
So, Mr. President, the executive committee met twice in the past month, and I'd like to move that we accept the minutes of the first meeting that was to discuss our priority projects for 2021.
Okay, with the recommendation of the chairman that we, and the motion by the chairman that we do accept the minutes of the executive committee of December what? December, November the 13th.
November 13th.
Any discussion on this? Okay, move by Roland, second by Roland. Excuse me, move by G, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, and then our second meeting was on December 2nd, and that was to discuss work being done on section D South. And I'd like to move that we accept those minutes of that meeting.
Yeah, moved by G, second by Roland Kiro. That we accept the minutes of the December 2nd meeting. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And that concludes my report.
Anybody here for the purpose of addressing the board? Mr. Lorraine?
Sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I see that y'all finally got to the raising the levee by the boat launch, and I think they put some limestone. Is there any future plans of maybe blacktopping that, or?
We don't have any funding set up.
Join the meeting.
I know last time we did it, we were able to get the funds to the blacktop.
I can't speak for the administration. I mean, I'm gonna request it. Is there any way we could go 50-50, or?
Oh, we look at anything, you know,
I spoke to one of the engineers, just asking him what would be a rough estimate. He said about 40,000, 40 or 50,000. But I mean, this is the most used boat launch in the parish. Some of the councilmen don't like me to say that, but that's what it is. I mean, it's got all the resources. You got Catfish Lake, you got all some good fishing areas. Right now, as I speak, there's about 10 people fishing in that hole. The worse the weather gets, the more the fish bite in the hole. The colder it gets, the more it bites. But, you know, and I've been on the radio quite a few times, and I let them know that it was coming. And then it doesn't bother me, but I would just like to see it paved again, because that's how it was from the very beginning. And it's if it would be something that wouldn't be used, but like I said, it's number one in the parish. That I can assure you. And whatever y'all can do to help out, I can't speak for the administration. But I'm sure we can get some funds from road sales tax too, because they use it for everything else. And
Well, but again, if you.
can I get them to contact
Yeah.
Ronald or?
You know, again, talking to tourism, you just talked about how many, and you know, when it's good, how many people go, people know about catfish. Like I was in San Diego, California, talking to a Rotary group. And at the end, I said, I'm from about 30 miles south of York. They said, where's that? Where's that? Okay, why you? He says, you know Golden Melon? You know Catfish Lake? I said, yeah, Catfish Lake. He says, I fish Catfish Lake. I said, well, why do you fish Catfish Lake? He says, well, off of San Diego, the fishing's good once in a while. He says the fishing's always good. And that's no joke. I mean, I'm in San Diego, you're gonna talk to just a general group, and he knew Catfish Lake. So, bottom line, see what you can do with the parish. You know, the fuzzy one you get, the board's always gonna entertain, helping out the
Well,
community.
I'll talk to them, and then we'll see what we can come up with, because I know we probably have
I mean, last
some.
time, y'all found the money.
Right,
Y'all got some federal money.
no, but we had the federal money, when that was first done, I can remember that was the first flight I ever took through the Bennett Johnson's office, and we got a grant, 160,000, and Wilson had put up 20, but that was back, 25 years ago? And, that's what it was, that little pavement that you see at that boat launch, that's all they had. Now it's been enlarged, way more. Of course, it's not paved, but it's still good, you know? And they got some more money from the Waller Brew Fund to shell all that, and then we participated with 50,000 to help them. So I just think that, you know, we can pave it back over the levee. And look, let me tell you, they did a great job right there. They're not quite finished, but that thing came out real good, as far as I'm
The
concerned.
plan is to envision a hard surface, now where the money comes from, we don't know, we'll have to come up with somewhere.
Well, that's usually
Our
always,
plan is the hard surface.
Mr. Ronald, that's usually always the case, where the money comes from.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing.
No, I'm
But
just
you good.
here requesting it, I'm not going over anybody's head. But if we don't bring it to your attention, which you know already, but I just wanna get it going.
Well, if you can get funds from the parish or anywhere else, we'd appreciate it.
Oh, but road sales tax too, that's what that's for. It's for roads, drainage, and bridges. And I think with this administration, it's not like the other administration. I'm sure once I bring up the request, they should honor it. And then we'll get together and see where we can go.
Well, we'll leave it.
Okay.
Your capable-
And if I don't see you before Christmas, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
We'll leave it in your capable hands to find right funds from the parish, we appreciate whatever you can do.
Okay,
And Merry Christmas.
thank you.
And the important part of all of that is the hole that was the boat road is now 4 feet high. That's the important part.
Yeah.
That's what, flood protection got 4 feet higher, golden meadow.
Okay, anybody else in, Mike? Visiting? That's it? Okay, we'll move on to, general manager's report, Wendell.
Okay, we'll take a look at a couple of pictures and we'll watch it over there. We tested it earlier.
And
Okay.
with a slideshow.
Well, you press enter for them, I just want, we went through the hurricanes over here, and we did, the water level wasn't enough to get to us, but, we had a lot of damage for the homes in Golden Meadow, and of course, some of the other issues outside of the area. But we had wind damage in Lake Charles, and I just wanted to mention, our levees help protect from flood damage, but we really don't affect the wind at all. That's dependent on the person themselves and making sure that their contractor builds the house as sturdy as it can be. And I just wanted to show the houses that were built in 1894. That was my great-grandfather built that house. He was living in Cheyenne, Manada. Storm hit, he built a new house in Gunno. In 1894, this house was built. For the last 30 years, it was not maintained. That house was still standing, not maintained at all. we had to actually get some heavy machinery to knock it down because it wasn't maintained, you know, so, getting to be a problem for the neighborhood. I mean, it's a shame nobody, but just to point, how building used to be in those days, this house never flooded, went through every wind event, and never had any major damage. Okay, go ahead. Kind of interesting too, I was told when I was a kid that the angles, when they had those timbers at the angle, was that because the houses that didn't float around at Cheyenne, that didn't move, were the few houses that survived. So they actually built the houses with more cross timbers underneath to stabilize the house. But again, that house was built on the bank at a +5 to 6 foot elevation, 3 feet off the ground. We never had 9 feet of water hit our area, and the house never flooded, even if we had had the lift system, okay? All right, and this is the boat launch, we got half of it up, and you can see the increase of about a 4 foot of protection at the area, okay? All right, that's all the boat launch, that's the angle that shows you the levee height that we increased everything, okay? All right. And again, we were showing this in the water issues, this is what we had over at, all the storms, you know, we had all the 6 storms hit, and we had water for a couple of them, Delta and Zeta. And that's outside the system. Now, everybody's used to looking south of the floodgate at the lock and going up and saying the water's on the road going to Lafourche. This is Delta Farms Road in the Rose. So the high water is not just at our southern end, the high water is all around our area. Okay. And again, show the same area. And at the boat launch again, higher elevation for Zeta. And now we'll look at it again, this material, looks like it's gonna hold up pretty well. And we'll get very little difference in the limestone because of this technique. In fact, I just saw this material about a year ago, being advertised, and it looks like it's gonna work out well.
The gravel goes on top, okay.
Yeah, and on top and in, you see it goes in, and it really holds it in place, so it won't move, so I don't expect that the holes will get rough. It does cost more doing it this way, but I think the result's gonna come out pretty good. I drove one a couple of times, and it looked like it wasn't going anywhere. All right, keep going. Okay, and here's.
Join the meeting.
And this is the area that we had a meeting on, we got some of the material up, got the levee elevation up, and we still don't have all the strength on the backside. The contract's not completed, and we will get this done by next year, but at least this year, on hurricane season, we did have some protection from it, and so that worked out. Okay, we'll just show a few more shots of it. Okay, yeah, and you see, we've got the elevation there, but you can see that we have to continue to fill in the backside to get the strength that we need. Okay, this is east south. This is one of the areas that the levee was getting a little low and could affect the flood insurance that we have. So we've been working that area and getting good progress with it. We've got the elevation now at 14 and a half, I believe, right, Joe?
Yes.
14 and a half. Flood insurance, it needs to be 13. And again, we just dug all the material from the side of the levee and placed it up and contracted shaping it, okay? That's on the east side, that's between Cloverleaf and behind Southwest High School, Myrtle Canal. And
Excuse me,
that's-
Wendell?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I got a text that the people on Zoom can't hear,
Okay.
so I don't know if you muted yourself or...
Have you turned on the mic?
Yeah.
See if that makes any difference. All right.
Looks like you look good.
Is it? Can tell them to text you, let know if we need to. Okay, again, just, simple job, just putting the dirt up and getting a safe contractor shape. All right. And here's Enoch, that's the Clover area. And, you can see that used to be a little canal, and we've got a large area that we took, and the Clover people gave us the right of way to go ahead and do it. And so we've been digging it out and putting the levee. That was another area that's kind of low for flood insurance. We bring that up to about 14 and a half. And there's trucks going, that's all the excavation side of it. It's kind of strange, but
Leah Long,
that's the interior part of the.
join the meeting.
That's not our levy. Okay. All right. And there's a stocking material up, there's the trucks bringing it in. And now we jump to, this is section C South. The bottom of the picture just excludes pump station number 2. And we're looking north right here. And we had raised the levy up to 18, and you can see where the dirt is fresh, and they're starting right now to finally raise it up to 18. We didn't get a chance to raise it to 18 during this past hurricane season. By next hurricane season, it will be up to 18, okay? And this is the southern portion of it. If you look to the right, that's the Dufresne form, or Pinnacle material for a while. And you can see the dirt is piled up, and so we have all the dirt up, and I'm just about getting it on top of the level. All right? Thank you. Okay, what we need to do, we did not have any real expense for the hurricanes this year, but there were some issues with the organza inside of our system. And we'd like to go ahead and declare an emergency for that storm to help get funds to take care of that, which is legal to do. So we have just a resolution declaring an emergency according to the governor's report.
Okay, you had a recommendation of the general manager to propose a resolution to declare an emergency for the last hurricane.
For Delta and Zeta.
Delta and Gopher. I need a motion to second that. Motion by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
This is the River Commission response. They had their yearly meeting, but because of COVID, they didn't have people, to get on the boat and give their testimony. I did send in some testimony talking about, again, the design of the levee is way beyond what we need to have a safe levee. And it's getting more expensive and needs to be, talked about the evolution in my letter, the evolution, how levees got to be where we are. And their response is in here, and they say that they do have a couple of sections that work for the board that are looking at different ways of doing it. So I will be responding and sending in our way of building what we think are safe levees at a reasonable cost. And we don't disagree that what they're doing is making really good levees. But if they're not affordable, that levee's not good if you can't build it, you can't afford to build it. And we've taken, well, our levees have been successful, they've shown so in the past. So we continue that discussion. The Golden Pump Station flood wall project is in construction. I mentioned that one, and I wanted to mention on here that and John's gonna talk about that. The Crawfish Pump Station flood wall, and that's on the east side of the bayou, almost level. Those are the two lowest spots on the southern part of our system. Those are projects that after Katrina, we sat with the Corps and said, look, we'll keep on raising the levees. Why don't you just raise the hard structures? And those were two of the hard structures. I said, look, we're going to 16 or maybe even a little bit higher. And I asked them to go 16, but they went to 13. And here we are these years later. Now they built strong walls with A-frames and splash pads. Now, I think if you get over top, then you weren't going to lose it. But there's a 4-foot differential. We get a lot of water in the system and have some flooding by having those low areas. So these two projects that we think will have to be in place by next year is going to raise some really low areas to a good height for us. So big progress for us, and I want to thank our engineers for getting to the point of having this constructed by next year. E-North agreement extension. We've had a lot of delays in all of our truck jobs. We talked about the truck job at D-South where we're having some big delays, but also in the Globally job, we've had some delays. In talking to our engineer, found out that our right-of-way agreement had expired in August. So, called the Globally attorney, Ryan Reeves. I called him and said, look, it slipped past us, and it slipped past them also because the second of the Scully brothers died a few months ago. We've been dealing with these guys since 1980, negotiating with the two brothers, and and the second was on it. They said they lost track of it too. So, Ryan sent me an email saying, look, I said, 6 more months and we can get this thing finished. So his email says, look, here's our agreeing to you having 6 more months. Ray suggested I write back saying, yes, we agree with this being that way. So I'd like the board to pass a motion agreeing to a 6-month extension to that right of way, to formalize it.
Okay, you've read a recommendation about that, motion to extend the right-of-way agreement with Levee to May the 23rd, 2021 is the date on it. So in order to be able to continue hauling dirt out of that pit, to be able to continue raising the levee. No issue, gentlemen. Hold on, Monty, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, and this resolution for the grant by emergency funding, as you know, we had the storms coming. There was some action needed. Grand Bayou is wide open, biggest hole in the system for the Morganza people and the North Lafourche. So they came up with the idea of putting a barge in there, plus money to put in, take out. Now, it's in our district, and we have handled those things. But we've always dealt with Reggie and Terrebonne and North Lafourche coming up with the money paying for those things, because they benefit them more than they do our taxpayers. And so I have Reggie here to explain what they would, how they will to get this done, and how it's a benefit for us to pass our resolution. Reggie?
So, the state, ultimately, the state will be paid in the nearly $2.3 million cost of doing emergency work. And it will be eligible for FEMA reimbursement, which South Lafourche will be applying. So, 10 years ago, CPRA set aside $6 million for some mitigation for Morganza project in Terrebonne Parish. There's been about $2.3 million sitting in a bank account the last 5 or 6 years, dormant. We don't need it for this mitigation project anymore. So Chip Klein and CPRA agreed to move it, take it out of that lockbox and move it towards this purpose. So this is a series of 4 resolutions that the CPRA attorney said we need to pass. The first one was done by Terrebonne Levee District 2 weeks ago, requesting this to occur because we were the original recipient. The second resolution was done by CPRA last Wednesday, authorizing it. But CPRA is requesting that both South Lafourche and North Lafourche pass concurring resolutions concurring with this, especially South Lafourche, because South Lafourche will be the recipient in paying the bills and then ultimately getting the money. So, and the only other backside of this thing is that the 75%, which we expect to get paid back on this, that you get back from FEMA, will go back into whatever, some Morganza project in the future. So that's kind of what, this is just concurring with our request, and CPRA's move it is $2.3 million. So to pay the bills on this emergency barge that was placed in Grand Bayou and applying for the,
I've got the resolution here, so I have to read it, I guess, to be proposal. It's a long one.
it's a long one, I wrote it, so.
Then we'll read it.
So,
I'll read it, that's comment on it. Okay, South Lafourche Levee District Resolution number 20-011. Concur with Terrebonne Levee Conservation District's request for Louisiana Coastal Protection Association for restoration to set aside and dedicate $2,300,000 of state Morganza to the Gulf revenue for the purposes of reimbursement to South Lafourche Levee District for the emergency closure of Grand Bayou in preparation of Hurricane Delta and the subsequent protection provided by disclosure for the Hurricane Zeta. Whereas the South Lafourche Levee District and Terrebonne Levee Conservation District and the North Lafourche Levee District have jointly participated in the planning, design, and construction of the Morganza Gulf Hurricane Risk Reduction System. And whereas these 3 entities have cooperated on the construction of a permanent floodgate at the Grand Bayou in Lafourche Parish, currently underway for approximately $18.53 million of Morganza to the Gulf State Capital Operating Revenue. And whereas additionally substantial progress has been made for Reach Cape of the Morganza to the Gulf project, which connects the Grand Bayou floodgate and provides protection to the communities of Pointe aux Champs, La Rose, and Lafourche. Whereas in preparation of the landfall of Hurricane Delta, Terrebonne Levee District, South Lafourche Levee District, North Lafourche Levee District initiated an emergency effort to, that should be not and. See, I caught you. an emergency effort to close vital portion near the permanent site of the future Grand Bayou floodgate to protect the above-mentioned communities from flooding, and this protection remained in place for the subsequent event of Hurricane Zeta. And whereas the successful closure prevented storm surge from compromising the Morgans and the Gulf system for two major hurricane surge events, and whereas South Lafourche Devon District has been invoiced and will expend for the installation and removal of the emergency structure the amount totaling $2,110,385.02, not including management and engineering expenses. And whereas the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority has previously set aside $6 million by resolution number 1 dated November 3rd, 2010 for the purpose of fulfilling the financial guarantee for compensatory mitigation for reaches CF, G1 and floodgates for Home Navigation Channel, Bubba Dove, and Grand Guy of the Gulf of the Morgan and the Gulf system. And whereas this resolution was essential in securing the federal permit MVN 2009-0559-WJJ for these actions, which resulted in $120 million of state and local investment. And whereas phase 1 of the compensatory mitigation project was declared substantially complete by Terrebonne 11th District Resolution 15-013 on June 9, 2015, for a total cost of $3,723,967.81 of the original $6 million, leaving the remaining balance of $2,276,036.19. And whereas the remaining financial obligation and mitigation shall be completed and or secured by phase 1 of the Home and Navigation Canal Lock Complex, while permits MVN 2015-0159-CO, Louisiana Board of Natural Resources Project number P201-70692, which will commence construction early 2021. And whereas on December 3rd, 2020, the Terrebonne 11th District Board of Commissioners adopted resolution number 20-022 requesting CPO rate to use the remaining $2,276,032.19 above mentioned state Morganton and Gulf funds to reimburse South Lafourche Devon District for the purpose of the emergency closure in Grand Bayou, which was installed to protect lives and property from the impending threat of flooding caused by hurricanes Delta and Zeta. And whereas on December 9, 2020, the CPRA board adopted a resolution, and I don't have the number here, which will be filled in, which redirected the funds as requested by Terrebonne 11th District. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the South Lafourche Devon District Board of Commissioners hereby concurs with the request of Dr. Terrebonne
Join the meeting.
and subsequent action of CPRA to reimburse South Lafourche District $2,276,032.19 remaining from above Morganza revenue for the purpose of emergency closures of Grand Bayou, which was installed to protect lives and property from the impending threats of flooding caused by Hurricane Delta and Zeta. Be it further resolved, since these funds will be eligible for FEMA reimbursement as an emergency protection measure, any funds received by South Lafourche Devon District from FEMA shall be forwarded to CPRA and be available to project wide needs in Morgan's Gulf Risk Reduction Project. This resolution was adopted the 14th day of December 2020 in a duly noted meeting of the South Lafourche Devon District, for which purpose a quorum was present. The board thereon was as follows. I need a motion and second for this. Moved by Keith, second by Rowland. Any discussion? If not, then we'll vote. It has to be a voice vote.
Alan Collins,
Yes.
Mitch Stamos, Roland Curo,
Yes.
Roland Guidry,
Yes.
Bob Hope, McNeely Rome,
Yes.
Keith Guidry,
Yes.
Monty Vega,
Yes.
Seems weird.
6 yeas.
6 yeas and abstentions.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. But the simplified deal is the state is paying the bills, and we don't have to dig in our pocket, which is good.
You found a way to get more words in without talking about anybody else.
Okay, anything else, Mr. President, Mr. General Manager?
No, it's all right.
Well, you have-
Oh, well, just to know, later when we talk about it, the beginning of the work on removing the gate from the block started today, we're shutting down the bayou, and Don is going down, and they're cleaning it out and getting ready to put the jacks, they'll use to jack up the gates. And next week, Monday, they'll have to go out to take, the gates should be removed by next week. I'm gonna hope the north wind blows all the time, so we don't have to have an issue with just one set of gates and not a lot. But that's starting today, and, supposedly during the daylight hours, for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we warned people that it may be closed during those working hours, but it will be open all night long. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions of the town manager? Okay, I failed to mention while I was with the presence of our soon-to-be member, Brian Morris. Brian, did you read anything for the state on your appointment?
No, not as of yet.
Yeah, I was told that they're just waiting on the governor right now, so everything's been sent in.
I talked to
It
the
took months, Toby. It took months.
Representative Gordon, we talked about it over the weekend, trying to get this thing done. Everybody wants to get it done. It's just like someone's not pushing the pencil for some reason. But they'll get there.
Okay, next item is our engineering reports. Dan, any report?
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear
Yeah,
us?
we can't really hear anything on the phone here. Barely heard you say my name, but I don't really have anything to report today. Happy holidays, but yeah, I gotta say it's very tough to hear on the app and on the phone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Local engineering reports, Joe, the and Associates.
Yes, on the east south grading and shaping, Lowland Construction is the contractor. He's moving material on site, getting it up to grade. He probably has a couple more weeks left, he should be finished by the time we have our next meeting. He submitted pay request number 12 in the amount of $19,000 even, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Lowland Construction, pay a back application number 12, in the amount of $19,000. No issue, gentlemen. Moved by Marty, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
On E North, levee improvements, Grand Isle Shipyards, he's hauling material, excavating the borrow pit. He has pay application number 7 in the amount of $114,104.04, and we do recommend you pay that.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Grand Isle Shipyard Incorporated, pay application number 7, in the amount of $114,104.04. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Yes, on D South, SBL is the contractor. Since the last meeting, we met with the executive committee and we met with the contractor, and he's agreed to go ahead and haul whatever is remaining that he has excavated, and then he'll continue working on the shaping part of the levee. So as of this time, this is pay application number 9. He has $31,255 even. We do recommend you pay that. In the next couple of months, we'll be working on him trying to just wrap up what he has done so far and move on.
You've heard the recommendation of the engineers to pay SBL Construction, pay application number 9, in the amount of $31,255. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And D South levee grading, SBL is a contract. He has been working diligently in the last month on grading and shaping the material that he has on the side of the levee. He has pay application number 7 in the amount of $10,800 even, and we do recommend you pay that.
You've heard our recommendation of engineers to pay SBL Construction, pay application number 7, in the amount of $10,800. Your wish, moved by Max, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
On section F levee improvements, this is from, this is the levee section from pump station number 7, which is at the Delta Farms Road, all the way down to the Clovely area. And we're gonna be raising the crown of the levee to about a 13, maybe 13.5. We accepted bids on December 1st at 2 p.m. Onshore Materials LLC from Thibodeau was a little bidder in the amount of $2,140,312.54. And we do recommend you award that contract.
Okay, based on a recommendation of our engineers to award Offshore Materials LLC, who was the low bidder on this section, in the amount of $2,140,312.54. Your recommendations, moved by Molly, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And Go-to-Meadow Pump Station flood wall, Sea Level Construction is a contractor. We issued them a notice to proceed on November 9th. So he's bought a bunch of material and he's fabricating the pieces of the elevating this flood wall in his shop right now in Thibodeau. He hasn't moved out on site yet. They expect that sometime in January he's gonna move on site and start elevating the wall. He has submitted pay application number 2 in the amount of $64,706.73, and we do recommend you pay that.
Engineers recommended we pay Sea Level Construction, pay application number 2 in the amount of $64,706.73. That's gonna go to pump station flood wall. No issue, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
And the maintenance of the south floodgates, we accepted bids in October. Circle was a low bidder in the amount of $534,263. We held a pre-construction meeting with them. We actually gave the notice to proceed last Monday on December the 7th. So his date of completion is March the 6th of 2021. Right now, he was working on removing grading. He's got to do some testing on the pad eyes to make sure that all works out good. He's going to be also blowing out all the material at the bottom, all the dirt and whatnot, in preparation of lifting the gates out. And they're going to start lifting the gates sometime early next week.
Any questions, Joe? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Moving on to handout shipyard engineering.
Okay, John Plaisance for GIS Engineering. We've got several projects on working with you all on. First is the Ease by Lafourche Water Retention Project. We are making slow but steady progress with the various entities involved in this project, the Corps, the Entergy, and several pipeline companies, including Loop and Shell. We think we will be through with our piece of the project in the next couple of weeks, so we will go ahead and ask the state, I think facility planning, correct, Wendell is providing that money?
Yeah.
So we will ask them for permission to advertise. We hope that the rest of the pieces fall together next month. So we'll see, we're gonna have some work for the attorneys to get some servitudes in place as well from the property owners. Desal flood wall improvements. We threw a party last Friday when CPRA finally said we could start advertising on that. If it is okay with the board, we plan on doing so next week and taking bids on January 21st. I don't know, Wendell, if y'all need to pass a resolution for that.
Yeah, I'd like the board to pass a resolution that we allow the board president or the manager to sign any and all agreements to accomplish the construction of this project.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineers and our general manager that we authorize either myself or the general manager to sign the necessary documents facilitate this project. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Marty, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you. The next project we have is the Golden Meadow Boat Launch Ramp, part of the D South project. Y'all saw some of the pictures already. Lowland is doing a good job with that. They have a pay request in the amount of $44,913.36. Represents about half of the project.
Okay, it's $44,913 and how much?
36 cents.
36 cents. Is that pay request number one? It's not written on here, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, to pay
Yes.
to GIS. Okay, we're
No,
coming
That's the pay to Lowland.
Lowland, excuse me. GIS is the engineer. Okay, gentlemen, you've got a recommendation of our engineers to pay Lowland's pay request number one, $44,913.36. Your wishes. Moved by the roll, second by roll. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. That's what we're talking about, trying to get funding, right?
Correct. And we do expect Lowland to be finished the original project this week. The Levee District had requested some extra material be excavated and stored near the site so they can backfill around the pipes, the discharge pipes at pump station number 1.
Now, the estimated cost for how much?
That was $18,000. It was about 2,000 yards at $9 a yard.
Okay.
Finished by next week?
This week, we expect to be the original version of the contract. The D North ramp, Eustis came and took some saw borings in that area. They've got another one to take before we give that to CPRA for their review.
And that's the loop road, we're talking about.
The Grand Bayou floodgate structure, both the flood wall and receiving structure and the barge floodgate structure are progressing fairly well. Time-wise, contractor's doing a good job. Sea Level is the contractor for both of them as well. They took out the temporary barge, I think about 2 weeks ago. But we have a series of pay requests and change orders and amendments for these projects. For the flood wall and receiving structure, we've got pay request number 5 in the amount of $963,417.51. That's for Sea Level.
Sea Level, pay request number one.
5.
Number 5 is the amount of
$963,417.51.
Okay, the recommendation of engineers to pay Sea Level payment, pay request number 5 in the amount of $963,417.61. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Roland. For discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
We've got pay request number 6, again to Sea Level in the amount of $1,188,175.24 for the Hurricane Delta efforts.
John, I would request that you put these amounts on here, well, fairness.
The amounts are on mine. The contractor's name isn't listed, but they are on mine, but we'll get them a little sooner next time, Ron.
They're on the agenda.
It's on the agenda now.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the actual request here. Okay, pay request number 6 to Sea Level.
Sea Level.
For $1,188,175.24.
Correct.
No wishes, gentlemen. Move by Monty, second by Mac. Any discussion?
2.3 million.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Change order number 3 again for Sea Level in the amount of $1,250,710.48 for the Hurricane Delta efforts.
That's still at the Grand Bayou.
Correct. Still Grand Bayou. This actually covers what y'all just agreed to pay them.
Not go on that.
It's your-
We agreed to pay number one.
There you go.
You
Okay.
agreed to pay, not put it in the contract.
I just want to get the sequences in order. Okay, you're recommending we base, sea level change order number 3 in the amount of $1,250,710.48 for Hurricane Delta F.
That'll change the contract in that amount.
Okay, no issue, gentlemen. Moved by Zach, second by Monty, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, we have amendment number 4, again for the floodgate receiving structure in the amount of $177,880.25 for Hurricane Delta Engineering Services and dive support. That would be for GIS engineering.
Okay, recommended amendment number 4 to GIS engineering, the amount of $177,880.25 for Hurricane Delta Engineering and dive supporting services. Okay, your wish, gentlemen, in this matter, recommended by engineers, moved by Keith, seconded by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And moving on to the barge portion of the project, pay request number 2 is steel to sea level in the amount of $536,582.78.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation of the engineers to pay, who paying that, sea level?
Sea level.
Sea level again. Pay request number 2 in the amount of $536,582.78. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And that's all we have.
First of all, I want to apologize to you. I got here the other meeting late and I didn't get a chance to go through my papers, so I was looking down at the actual reports from the engineers, which didn't have the amounts on it. I apologize for that. Okay, any questions, John?
And we can reformat those reports if you need them for next month.
Okay, moving on to Neil, Angela Pisciola.
All right, Neil Angela here from Angela Pisciola. First project is the B North and B South levee improvements from base on pump station to the Golden Meadow Park. They contract as Pontchartrain partners. We expect they're going to be wrapping up the project in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And we're recommending approval of their pay request number 38 in the amount of $44,541.71.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Pontchartrain partners. They requested the 38, the amount of $44,541.71. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Monty, second by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right, the next project is P South levee improvements. This is from the base on pump station going north to the south side of Apache Farm. The contractor, Grand Isle Shipyard, is continuing to work on removing material from the edge of the Barrow Canal and has started placing that material to raise that levee approximately 3 feet. We're recommending approval of this pay request number 7 in the amount of $152,760.00.
Okay, gentlemen, you heard the request of engineers, recommendation of engineers to pay Grand Isle Shipyard payment number 7 in the amount of $152,760. Your wishes. Moved by Max, second by Monty. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, the last project is Morganza to the Gulf Reach L. This is the levee construction from the Apache Farm on the west side all the way out to Grand Bayou. Those plans and specifications are complete and they're currently being reviewed by the levee district.
Okay.
And that's all I have, Mr. President.
Any questions, Andy?
Thank you.
Moving on to Delta Coast Consultants. No report. All South Consulting Engineers.
Good evening, Brandon Arsenault with All South Consulting Engineers. First project I'm going to report on is the Reach K marsh mitigation. This project has been complete for some time now. The clear lead period has ran its course. The contractor has supplied all documentation that is required and requesting his final pay application for the retainage in the amount of $92,500.
Okay, recommendation engineer will pay coastal dredging. Pay request number 5, which is the final retainage, right, for this project, amount of $92,500. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Monty, seconded by McKee. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
All right, moving on to the Reach K levee, emergency rehabilitation. We have a couple construction contracts out right now. And the first one I'd like to report on is the emergency rehabilitation of Reach K spoil material phase 1. This is the project that Lowland was the contractor on. A substantial completion walkthrough was performed on Monday, December 7th, 2020. And the contractor fulfilled all his obligations in regards to the contract, with the exception of he owed us some seeding and fertilizing. And we're requesting that we grant the substantial completion as recommended on that date, with punch list item that he'll go ahead and complete the seeding and fertilizing.
Okay, with a recommendation, we grant substantial completion to, Lowland. Any discussion? Moved by Monty, seconded by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Moving on, the emergency rehabilitation of Reach K spoil material phase 2. This is sea level contract that we pay them based on the T&M for the shaping. Sea level continues working from north to south along the west bank of Grand Bahia. They have completed approximately 14,000 linear feet of 23,000 feet of the project. And as of December 7th, 40 days of the budgeted 90 working days have been utilized. So that goes to show they're right on the 50% of their time and over 50% of the project. So it looks like we're in good shape on that one. Then there's a supply and delivery of material lost to Reach K for Hurricane Barry. That's the FEMA reimbursed 55,000 yards we've been working on. The bids were received on Thursday, November 12th. For the material, sea level construction was a successful low bidder in the amount of $1,685,000. The construction contracts were executed and pre-construction conference was held on Thursday, December 3rd. The notice to proceed was issued with the construction start date of December 14th. And the contractor actually began hauling some material on that project already. Starting on the Cornishan side, he's going to deliver 20,000 by truck, and then he'll come on the road side and put 35,000 on the barge and push it down the canal.
Who's the contractor?
Sea level. So in regards to those contracts, we have some paperwork to take care of. So the first one is a pay request for onshore material for work they did on during Hurricane Sally on the emergency work. There's no real change order associated with that because there was no contract on that. Just called them up on emergency purposes. And that pay request is in an amount of $27,763.45.
Okay, your recommendation on engineers to pay onshore materials, pay request number 1, the amount of $27,763.45. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, seconded by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Thank you. The next pay request we have is pay request number 1 from onshore for the emergency work performed in conjunction with Hurricane Laura. This was for some marsh buggy work they had out there on Reach K. That invoice was in the amount of $43,620. Recommended payment.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay onshore materials. Pay request number 1 for $43,620. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, seconded by Keith. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Next pay application is application number 2 in the amount of $115,278.10. This is the sea level construction on their phase 2 work for the shaping and grading.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level pay application number 2 in the amount of $115,278.10. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Mitch. By Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Last two items we have are some change orders in regards to sea levels shaping work. So change order number one is for sea level to demobilize in conjunction with Tropical Storm Delta, and then remobilize to the project site. That cost was $17,442.50. That was for them to go and get their equipment off of this job because they were cutting the canal off by board and you can't access it by vehicle. So they had to pull their equipment off the site and
So
get
the
that.
change order was caused by us, actually we did.
Correct.
You heard the recommendation of our engineers to pay sea level $17,442.50 for change order number one. Your wish, gentlemen. Second by, moved by Keith, second by Mac, for discretion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Last change order request that we have is for Sea Levels contract. This is for us to put 2 track trucks on the levee and a long reach excavator. That way we can load the trucks up and move material up and down the canal. This was not part of the original scope of the project. We just wanted to kind of shape what was there, but now that we have it shaped up, we're ready to move forward and get into some more work and moving some material from a high elevation to where it's not so high, so we can get that protection in place. And so for this additional equipment for 30 days, it comes out to $137,558.98.
Okay, the sea level change
Mr.
order.
President, the Terrebonne Levee District concurred with this, because we, getting reimbursing you for this contract. Valuing this, there's about 20,000 extra yards on the north side of Cape, so this will allow it to be moved so we can utilize it. Material comes out to about $6 a yard to move it further down. So we concur with this, valuing this contract.
Okay, good. Change order number two, the sea level, with an amount of $137,558.98 for those who work. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, seconded by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Here's my report.
Any questions, Brandon? Thank you, Brandon. Okay, legal permits and right of way. Mitch?
Oh, it's not here. There's one permit, and it's after the fact permit, it was by Entergy. They did a repair after one of the storms. We've inspected the site, and we have no problem with their after the fact permit.
Okay, the recommendation by general manager, we approve the permit, after the fact permit. Moved by Lonnie, second by Rich. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Attorney, nothing? Okay, Lonnie?
Okay, Mr. President, Finance Committee met today to review all invoices, and we would like to pay all invoices as presented. So,
Okay, moved by Lonnie, second by Rich. By Keith. I keep seeing you there.
That's bad.
Seconded by Keith, that we approve the pay all bills as presented. Your wish, gentlemen. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Personnel Committee.
Okay, Mr. President, Personnel Committee met today to review the annual employee evaluations. After reviewing the evaluations, the committee would like to approve pay increases according to our policy and procedures.
Okay, we've heard the recommendation of the chairman, seconded by Max, that we pay all bills, give all raises as presented within our guidelines. Discussion on this? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.